Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are living inside the very arrangement Queen Elizabeth II tried to prevent. That is the central problem now facing King Charles. When Harry and Meghan left the working royal family, the late Queen understood the danger immediately. The issue was not simply that her grandson wanted a new life. It was not simply that Meghan wanted distance from palace rules. It was not even that they wanted to live abroad and earn their own money. The real danger was the half-in, half-out model, using royal status for commercial advantage while avoiding the duties, restrictions, and discipline that make royal status meaningful. That was the red line at the Sandringham summit. The Queen knew that monarchy cannot work as a pick-and-mix arrangement. A person cannot step away from service, move into private business, and then return to royal symbolism whenever the brand needs a boost. A title cannot become a portable marketing device. A palace connection cannot be turned on for publicity and turned off for accountability. Public service cannot be blended with personal commerce without damaging the institution. And yet, years later, that is exactly the accusation being made against Harry and Meghan. Critics argue that they are no longer working royals, yet they continue to benefit from the royal identity. They are not carrying out official duties, yet their titles remain central to their public value. They criticize the institution.
She thinks this is a boon. She thinks this is going to help her finally achieve a level of success in Hollywood. However, I actually don't think this award is going to help her that much. In fact, over the years, awards in the entertainment industry, and I feel like especially in the public arena, have meant less and less as the years go on, as Hollywood gets painfully obsessed with DEI and other woke-related issues. So guys, we are going to get into and explore a little bit more in detail this recent nomination. But if you guys...
The institution still gives them the aura that makes them marketable. They insist on independence, but their commercial and media relevance still depends heavily on proximity to the monarchy. That is why this latest conversation around Meghan's behavior, Harry's position, and King Charles's inaction matters so much. It is not only about one product. It is not only about one interview. It is not only about one photograph, one charity appearance, or one awkward headline. It is about whether the Sandringham boundary still means anything. Former royal editor Duncan Larkham framed the situation in a way many royal watchers will recognize. He suggested that the late Queen was shrewd enough to see the danger from the beginning. She understood that Harry and Meghan might try to earn money through public engagements, commercial projects, endorsements, documentaries, and brand partnerships while still retaining the shine of royal life. Her instincts, in that view, have been proven right. This is where the late Queen's absence is felt most strongly. Under Queen Elizabeth II, there was a sense that certain lines would eventually be enforced. She could be patient, she could be quiet, she could allow time to do some of the work. But she also understood the crown as something larger than any individual family member. If a person threatened the integrity of the institution had to come first. With King Charles, critics see a different style.
His Emmy nomination very briefly in my previous video, but I feel like it merits a bit more of exploration here, because I'm sure in Meghan's mind, this is the best thing ever. She just achieved something great. And she's on, let's say, on par with her father, which is great in a way. But also, Meghan, you went from the balcony of Buckingham Palace to being exciting about a daytime Emmy nomination for a show nobody cares about. I didn't even know what any of the other shows were. I had never, ever heard of them. This is where shows go to die, is lifestyle programming.
Charles is often described as a more emotionally vulnerable figure, a father who wants peace and a monarch who dislikes open confrontation. That is understandable. He is dealing with his own health, the pressures of a relatively new reign, the legacy of Queen Elizabeth, the continuing Andrew problem, and the fractured relationship with his younger son. He may hope that silence, distance, and time will reduce the Sussex drama without forcing a public showdown. But the problem is that silence can look like permission. If Harry and Meghan continue using royal connection while attacking, criticizing, or commercially exploiting the institution, and if the king does not publicly draw a harder line, the public may begin to see that as tacit acceptance. The royal website still lists them, the titles remain. Their children are Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Meghan remains Duchess of Sussex. Harry remains Prince Harry. The family connection remains commercially valuable. That is why critics ask, why does the king not stop it? The answer may be emotional as much as constitutional. Charles is Harry's father. Whatever Harry has done, that relationship remains. A father facing illness may not want to create a final rupture with his son. He may also want some relationship with Archie and Lilibet.
Which is what happened, of course, to Meghan Markle's show. I bet you most of these shows, again, we're still waiting for some of the Netflix numbers, probably did better overall than Meghan's did. But I'm sure she's seeing this and going, well, let's leverage the show, because she did, of course, pat herself and her team.
You may believe that removing titles or publicly rebuking Harry and Meghan would only trigger another round of interviews, claims, and accusations. He may think restraint is the less damaging path, but restraint has a cost. It leaves a vacuum, and Harry and Meghan are very good at operating inside vacuums. The clearest example is Meghan's commercial world. Her lifestyle brand, her media appearances, and the way her title continues to attach itself to products and publicity all raise the same question. Where does personal enterprise end and royal status begin? If a woman known globally as the Duchess of Sussex launches products, sells a lifestyle, appears in branded settings, or benefits from wardrobe interest during public appearances, the title does not disappear. It travels with her. That is the entire commercial advantage. Meghan is not just another former actress selling jam, wine, flowers, home goods, or aspirational domesticity. She is the woman who married Prince Harry, became a duchess, left royal life, accused the institution of failing her, and then built a public identity from that story. Every product is seen through that lens. Every appearance is royal adjacent, even when it is not officially royal. That is why the Bondi Beach example caused such outrage among critics. Meghan met with survivors connected to the attack at Bondi Beach in Australia, and later her outfit reportedly became part of online shopping or fashion tracking coverage. Whether that was directly controlled by Meghan's team, amplified by fan accounts, or handled by outside platforms, the optics were uncomfortable. A serious moment involving survivors should be about the people and the pain they endured. If the public conversation quickly turns into what Meghan wore and where to buy it, the moral purpose of the appearance is weakened. This is the danger when celebrity, charity, fashion, and royal status all collapse into one image. The cause becomes background, the outfit becomes content, the title becomes marketing. The person at the center becomes the product. Critics argue that this has happened too often around Meghan. A humanitarian setting becomes a branding moment. A social issue becomes an identity pillar. A visit to vulnerable people becomes a photo opportunity. That may sound harsh, and not every charitable appearance should be dismissed as cynical. Public figures can do good even when publicity follows. But Meghan's problem is that trust is low. When trust is low, even sincere gestures are read through suspicion. That is also why the alcohol question matters. If Meghan is associated with an alcohol product,
did not do well. So will this award, if she happens to win it, yes, I think she'll put like a feather in her cap and she'll be so excited and proud. But will this really reverse course in the entertainment industry? I don't really think so. Because the problems that existed with Love Meghan are still there. The problems with Harry and Meghan are still there. The problems with Heart of Invictus are still there. The problems with Polo are still there. Which is that Harry and Meghan are unable to, I think, actually produce a captivating series. They are not good at the creative side of this, of actually splicing a story together into something that is not only coherent, but it's compelling.
Or a wine-related lifestyle brand. Critics ask how that fits with her more serious public messaging. She has spoken about online safety, children's well-being, mental health, and the dangers of digital culture. She presents herself as a responsible public figure concerned with families and social harm. At the same time, her commercial brand sits in the world of aspiration, indulgence, and luxury consumption. There is nothing inherently wrong with selling wine. Many celebrities do it. But when a public figure uses moral language in one context and luxury commerce in another, the two identities must be handled carefully. Otherwise, it begins to look like morality when useful, glamour when useful, and commerce whenever possible. That is what critics mean when they say Meghan cannot have it both ways. This leads back to the larger accusation of greed. Harry and Meghan have earned enormous sums since leaving the royal family. They live in Montecito, in a wealthy community, in a property most people could never imagine affording. They have had major media deals, book deals, brand attention, speaking opportunities, and constant global coverage. Yet the public often hears complaints about security, money, privacy, hardship, and unfairness. That disconnect is damaging. Ordinary families are dealing with rising bills, housing pressure, food costs, fuel costs, and the everyday stress of making ends meet.
It's interesting. They lack the skills to be able to do that. And with Love, Meghan was, I want to argue, it was the worst of the bunch, except for maybe Live to Lead, which I didn't even bother watching. So as a reminder, the shows they produced, first one was Harry and Meghan, which is about their departure from the royal family and their love story and everything. Obviously, it was the most compelling out of the bunch because they were talking about the royal family, but it wasn't good. I would argue it wasn't very interesting. I felt like it kind of was.
When wealthy public figures present themselves as victims while selling expensive lifestyle products or fighting over publicly funded privileges, the sympathy can evaporate quickly. Harry may not fully understand that because he grew up in a world where money was never ordinary. He did not grow up budgeting for heating bills, school uniforms, rent, or groceries. Meghan, by contrast, is often described by critics as more commercially ambitious, more aware of celebrity branding, and more determined to turn opportunity into financial gain. Whether that judgment is fair or not, it reflects the public impression that Meghan is the driving force behind the Sussex commercial machine. That impression matters. In reputation, perception can become reality. If the public believes Meghan is monetizing royal connection, then every product confirms the suspicion. If the public believes Harry is being used as the royal access point for a brand, then every Sussex launch is interpreted through that belief. If the public believes Charles is too weak to stop them, then each new controversy becomes evidence of royal drift. That is why King Charles's silence cannot be neutral forever. There is also the question of establishment access. Harry likes to present himself as outside the system. He has criticized the palace, the British press, the Home Office, the court process, and the machinery of royal life.
There were so many different aspects they could kind of move into. And in order to try to sell some of their points, which was that Meghan was being stalked by the paparazzi, they literally grabbed stock images, like very obvious stock images. If you don't have actual pictures of anybody, quote unquote, stalking her with a camera, did they really exist? I would argue the answer is no. If you don't have pictures of anyone, they didn't really exist. And I think that is actually the case here, is that it didn't really exist. And so they had to embellish the story so much that it lacked a credibility in many ways. And then the next thing that came out was Live to Lead.
He has often sounded like a man in rebellion against the establishment that raised him. But in practical terms, Harry remains deeply tied to that establishment. His name, status, security concerns, charitable platforms, and media access are all shaped by his birth. Invictus is a perfect example. The Invictus Games are one of Harry's genuine achievements. He deserves credit for helping build a platform that gives wounded, injured, and sick service personnel a powerful stage. It has done real good. It connects sport, recovery, military service, dignity, and public attention in a meaningful way. Critics should be careful not to dismiss Invictus simply because they dislike Harry. But Invictus also keeps Harry connected to official worlds, veterans, government, military networks, international partners, financial backers, and royal adjacent visibility. It is not a random private hobby. It sits near the heart of the establishment Harry claims to reject. That is why some observers see him as still half inside the system, even if he insists he is outside it. The same is true of media access. Harry and Meghan attack the press, but they also need the press. They criticize cameras, but they rely on visibility. They condemn leaks, but stories still appear through friendly outlets.
Produced was Heart of Invictus. And this was the one that actually, I have always argued, was going to be their most compelling series about wounded veterans. And it was also bad. They missed out, I think, on more compelling stories and pursued less compelling stories, which shows, I think, their lack of instinct of what makes for good TV. They just simply don't have it. And then you move on to the next thing, which was Polo, which was like weird because they were trying to make it lofty and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? Pretentious. And yet they had sort of a sleaze element to it with that one guy.
They complain about hostile coverage, but positive coverage often appears with careful timing. They speak about privacy, but the public keeps receiving curated glimpses of their lives. This is one of the most obvious contradictions in the Sussex story. The press is their enemy. The press is also their oxygen. From the beginning of the relationship, Harry was combative toward the media. When the public first learned he was dating Meghan, he issued a fierce statement condemning press behavior and warning about harassment. Later, the couple argued that Meghan had been treated with racism and cruelty. Many supporters accepted that framing, and there were certainly ugly comments around Meghan in parts of public discourse. But critics such as Duncan Larkham argue that mainstream royal press coverage of Meghan was initially largely positive. She was introduced as a breath of fresh air, the so-called Markle sparkle, the glamorous American who might modernize the monarchy. Much of the hostility in this view came not from formal news coverage, but from public reaction, opinion columns, comment sections, and later criticism that developed as the Sussexes' own behavior became more controversial. This distinction matters. Harry and Meghan often blur press criticism, public criticism, racism, intrusion, disagreement, and accountability into one large hostile force.
And all of it was pretty horrible, to be honest. I watched the entire season 1. I watched, I think, a handful of episodes of season 2 because I could not bring myself to watch more of it. It was just so incredibly bad. It was boring. Like, Meghan has no passion for this. She's so incredibly, insanely contrived that she just simply, she just can't simply run a show like this. She just does not have the charisma, the presence, the wherewithal to go with jokes or anything like that. She's just so incredibly constrained that she lacks she doesn't have, I think, actually even good acting instincts.
Not all criticism is abuse. Not all public dislike is media persecution. Not every negative headline is racism. Not every challenge is evidence of institutional cruelty. If Harry believes the public should not have opinions about public figures, he misunderstands public life. And if Harry and Meghan use selected journalists, photographers, publicists, and friendly outlets while condemning the press as a whole, critics will call that hypocrisy. The mention of Liam Maguire is important in this context. Harry has reportedly worked with professional PR advisors to improve his media relationships and coverage. That is not surprising. Public figures use PR. Royal households use PR. Celebrities use PR. The palace itself has press officers, strategies, and relationships with journalists. But Harry's problem is that he has moralized the media so aggressively that ordinary PR activity looks contradictory. If the press is corrupt, why brief it? If cameras are traumatic, why make sure photographers know where to be? If leaks are immoral, why do stories that benefit the Sussexes keep appearing? That is the credibility problem. The royal press machine itself is more complex than outsiders assume. Palace press offices do not always cooperate freely with journalists.
Acting instincts, I think, require you to kind of go with the flow and improvise. Not in every situation, but I think you have to be somebody who can feel the moment, and she can't feel the moment. Now, this could come from, you could say, a psychological condition where she can't feel empathy, and so ergo, she can't actually react and empathize and move with a conversation and a skit or scene or whatever because she fundamentally can't feel it. I think that could definitely be a distinct possibility with Meghan. And so we have a lot of...
Much depends on who is running communications, which royal household is involved, and whether a particular royal approves quiet background help. Authors and reporters may receive access to friends, aides, or context if the royal in question allows it. But the idea that the palace simply hands over everything to favoured writers is often exaggerated. Still, there is a game. There is always a game. Royal reporting is built on access, silence, timing, denials, background briefings, and carefully placed signals. The Sussexes know that game. They condemn it publicly, but they also play their own version of it. That is why the public has become more skeptical. People understand now that a story appearing in a paper may have arrived through sources, PR professionals, friends, or interested parties. They know that a source close to someone can be part of a strategy. Harry and Meghan cannot pretend to be innocent outsiders to this system. They are participants. This is why the royal website matters more than it might seem. To some people, a page on the official royal website may look like a minor technical detail. It is not a balcony appearance. It is not a constitutional role. It is not a formal job. But symbolism is the language of monarchy.
Anyways, so they do have a couple of things in the quote-unquote pipeline, like that have been there ever, that are stuck in development hell, like meet me at the lake. There was a crazy, I should mention it here, moment, and this showed up, guys, 3 times within 24 hours. This article from Town and Country, Carly Fortune reveals why she trusted...
If Harry and Meghan remain listed in ways that appear to preserve royal association, then the public can reasonably ask what the institution is saying. Are they outside or not? Are they private or not? Are they being publicly disowned or still quietly held within the royal story? Ambiguity gives the Sussexes room. If the website still grants them a visible place, Meghan can continue moving through the world with the Duchess identity intact. Harry can still be presented internationally as a prince in conflict with his family, rather than simply as a private man who left his role. Their supporters can point to the official record and say they remain royal. Their critics can point to the same record and say Charles is failing to enforce the boundary. This is why clarity matters. The monarchy is built on tiny signals. A balcony invitation matters. A seating plan matters. A carriage order matters. A title matters. A line on a website matters. The palace knows this. The public knows this. Harry and Meghan know it too. That is why doing nothing is still a decision. If Charles allows the current ambiguity to continue, he may be trying to avoid escalation, but he also allows the half in, half out impression to continue. If he tightens the language, removes symbolic privileges, or makes clearer.
And so looking at this all together, I can almost guarantee, and I'm sure you can as well, that this won't be a big, let's say, movement for Meghan. It won't be a seismic shift for her. It won't really, I think at the end of the day, help her cause and help her case, which is the desperate need for attention, validation, and most specifically, actually getting projects together. Because despite having all the money and resources of Netflix, it still was a pain to get her to produce anything. And what she did produce was tired and failed by every single...
That Harry and Meghan have no role. He risks confrontation. Yet the absence of confrontation is not the same as peace. It can simply postpone the fight while giving the Sussex brand more time to use royal association commercially. There are several possible paths. Charles could leave everything as it is and hope the Sussex brand loses energy on its own. That is the path of least immediate drama. It avoids legal or political conflict. It avoids giving Harry and Meghan another moment to claim they have been punished. But it also looks weak to critics who believe the couple are openly exploiting the institution. He could make quiet administrative changes, reduce their prominence on official pages, sharpen language around non-working status, and avoid public access that can be used as brand validation. That would not be as dramatic as removing titles, but it would send a signal that the door to half in, half out remains closed. He could go further and support a serious discussion about titles. That would be explosive. It would produce global headlines. It might please many royalists, but it could also allow the Sussexes to recast themselves as victims of an unforgiving institution. It would need to be handled with extreme care, because once titles become the battlefield, the fight becomes constitutional, emotional, and commercial at the same time. Or Charles could wait for William
metric to, I think, actually be good. And that's the thing, she needs good shows. Harry and Meghan need good materials. You can't just slap "I'm a Duchess" on something and expect it to do well. You actually have to produce something. And of course here, I produce these videos. These are very simple videos in many ways, to be honest, but I feel like that kind of fits news. I would rather do something, let's say, more complex. I'm just not in the space right now to be able to do that, but it's just me, and I think people understand that. Meghan had infinite level of resources, created the most complex lifestyle program you could.
Many observers believe that is what may happen. Charles is a father first in this situation, even when he is also king. William, by contrast, will eventually inherit the problem not as Harry's father, but as the future of the crown. His calculation may be colder, more institutional, and more final. If William believes Harry and Meghan are a long-term threat to the monarchy's dignity or stability, he may have far less hesitation about drawing a hard line. That possibility hangs over everything. Harry may still hope that his father can be emotionally reached. Meghan may still see value in the royal connection while Charles is on the throne. But William's reign would be different. William has lived through the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the memoir, the attacks on Catherine, and the years of public tension. He has little reason to believe the Sussexes can be safely brought back into trust. That is why the current moment is so consequential. If Harry and Meghan wanted to protect their long-term royal connection, this would be the time to lower the temperature. Fewer briefings, fewer symbolic commercial uses of the title, fewer stories involving the children, less reliance on grievance, more evidence of discretion, more respect for the line between private family and public brand. Instead, critics see the same pattern continuing. That is why the establishment question keeps returning. Are Harry and Meghan rebels against the system or beneficiaries of it?
Possibly imagine with an infinite number of celebrities, and she only got one single Emmy nomination for it when she should have probably been up for 3 or 4. That she got that pity nomination, I think, shows that, yes, you can submit a lot of, I don't think there were actually a ton of options here for consideration. And I think it was just a pity nod. Will she win? Maybe just because of name recognition alone. But if you are someone in the entertainment industry, Meghan Markle's show is the antithesis of entertainment. It sucked. It was boring. It was banal. It was glossy and overfinished and made no sense and overproduced in the worst possible.
Are they outsiders, or are they still using insiders' tools? They cannot be both forever. If they are true outsiders, then royal titles and palace proximity should become less relevant. If they are still insiders, then they owe the institution more discipline than they have shown. This is the contradiction that no PR campaign can fully solve. That brings us to victimhood. One of the strongest criticisms in the source material is that Harry and Meghan move very quickly from glamour to victimhood whenever they are challenged. One day, they are the polished couple with global platforms, luxury surroundings, titles, and access to elite circles. The next, they are wounded, misunderstood, persecuted, unsafe, silenced, or misrepresented. That shift has become exhausting for many people. It is not that Harry and Meghan have never faced mistreatment. They have. Public life is brutal. Media attention can be invasive. Meghan faced hostility that no one should pretend was always fair. Harry's grief and trauma are real. But when victimhood becomes the default response to legitimate criticism, sympathy begins to wear thin. Piers Morgan is a useful example. Meghan complained after Morgan made strong criticisms of her on Good Morning Britain. Many people disliked his tone. Others thought he was raising questions the mainstream media had avoided.
And take notes. This is why I don't think, and I looked, this has not been covered. Meghan Markle getting an Emmy nod has not been covered in Deadline, Variety, or Hollywood Reporter. And the reason is, I just don't think they care. I think the industry is over Harry and Meghan. They have had so many opportunities and squandered every single one. And then you have the doofus that is Harry losing this massive court case, looking like a fool over which should be a simple meeting with his father. And then talking about himself and proclaiming himself to be a Prince of England and a Duke on a podcast and looking a fool for it. Harry and Meghan are fools. And yes, they got
Over time, some critics argue that Morgan was proven right on certain concerns about credibility, media strategy, and the couple's contradictions. Whether one agrees with him or not, the broader point remains. Meghan and Harry often respond to criticism as if criticism itself is unacceptable. That is not how public life works. Public figures can be challenged. Duchesses can be challenged. Princes can be challenged. Commercial brand founders can be challenged. People who give interviews accusing families and institutions can be challenged. The Sussexes' problem is that they want the platform without the pushback. They want the interview without the scrutiny. They want the title without the duty. They want the press when it flatters them and protection from the press when it does not. That is the half in, half out mentality again. It also explains the collapse in public affection. Harry was once one of the most liked members of the royal family. He had a rare kind of goodwill. People remembered him as Diana's younger son, the mischievous boy who grew into a soldier, the prince who seemed more relaxed than the rest of the institution, the man who could laugh with veterans and connect with ordinary people. That goodwill was deep because it was emotional. It came from grief, military service, and public familiarity. But goodwill is not permanent. It has to be renewed. For years, Harry and Meghan appeared to assume that the public would continue extending sympathy because of
nod, maybe she'll win. I'm sure she'll be Emmy award-winning Meghan Markle everywhere she goes. I imagine that will be the case. She may even go to the award ceremony, even if it's streamed, just because if she wins, she'll want to be there if she wins. But of course, so many awards anymore are purchased, meaning that if you have enough money to put behind your award, you can most likely win. In addition to that, so much of this as well comes down to if you tick particular boxes. A lot of people are saying that Odyssey will get a lot of nominations.
What they had been through. At first, many people did. Even those who were uncomfortable with the Oprah interview or the Netflix series could understand that royal life might have been painful. Even people who disagreed with them could acknowledge that press intrusion is real and that family conflict can be complicated. But sympathy begins to fracture when the story keeps repeating. The public can accept one explanation. It can accept a period of transition. It can accept that someone needs to speak about pain. What it struggles to accept is a permanent identity built around grievance, while the people expressing that grievance live with immense privilege. That is why the comparison with Andrew is so damaging for Harry. Polling that places Harry close to the bottom of royal popularity, only above Andrew in some discussions, is not just a numbers problem. It is a warning that the emotional credit Harry once had has been spent to fall that far. From beloved prince to one of the least trusted royal figures requires more than bad press. It requires the public to feel that the person has broken the bond. That broken bond is hard to repair because it is not based on one incident. It is cumulative. The Oprah interview, the accusations, the Netflix series, the memoir, the security demands, the press attacks, the commercial deals, the use of titles.
Not maybe because it's necessarily good. Could be good, it could not be good. I'm not sure. I'm actually sort of planning to do a video on that would be on a different channel. And if I get it done, I'll let you guys know, because I may try to review that from a historian's perspective. But I don't think it'll win because it's good. I don't think it'll win awards because it's particularly historically accurate or resembles anything remotely historic, but mostly because it just hits the boxes. It hits what Hollywood likes, what Hollywood wants to see, which is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, not because it actually on its own merits is good.
The selective privacy, the repeated claim of victimhood, each piece adds to the next until the public no longer hears a plea for understanding, it hears a pattern. And once a pattern is established, public relations becomes much less effective. A new article cannot erase it. A sympathetic profile cannot erase it. A charity photo cannot erase it. A carefully arranged visit cannot erase it. People start interpreting every new move through the old pattern. That is why Harry and Meghan face such a difficult road. They do not need one good headline. They need years of different behavior. They need to give the public enough evidence to question the negative narrative. They need to become boring in the best possible way. Reliable, discreet, useful, and consistent. At the moment, they are the opposite of boring. And that is not a compliment. The children, Archie and Lilibet, sit at the most sensitive part of this story. They are innocent. They did not choose any of this. They should not be mocked, targeted, or used as weapons in adult arguments. But the way Harry and Meghan present, hide, reveal, and reference them has become another source of public confusion. On one hand, Harry and Meghan emphasize safety and privacy. They argue that their children face risk because of royal status, media attention, and public hostility. They keep their children's faces mostly private and control what the public sees. On the other hand, images or videos of the children occasionally appear, often partially shown, sometimes from behind, sometimes in domestic or lifestyle settings. Those glimpses create attention while still preserving mystery. Critics argue that this allows Harry and Meghan to benefit from public interest in the children without allowing a normal public relationship to develop. That is why some commentators describe them as invisible children. The phrase is unkind if aimed at the children themselves, but it reflects a real public dynamic. Archie and Lilibet hold prince and princess titles, yet the public has almost no relationship with them. Their existence is central to security, family, inheritance, titles, reconciliation, and King Charles's emotional life, but their public presence is carefully rationed. The contrast with William and Catherine is obvious. William and Catherine know their children cannot be completely hidden. Prince George will one day be king. Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis will also live public lives shaped by the monarchy. The Waleses have chosen a managed approach: occasional photographs, controlled public appearances, family moments, and gradual exposure that allows the public to build affection without overwhelming the children. That is not perfect. No royal child has a normal childhood in the ordinary sense, but there is a logic to it. The public needs to know the future king as a child, so that one day the George is not a stranger. Harry and Meghan take a different approach. They shield Archie and Lilibet intensely, then reveal them selectively. That may be their right as parents, but it becomes complicated when the children have royal titles and are used in wider debates about security, family access, and public sympathy. The contradiction becomes sharper when Meghan speaks about online child safety while posting carefully controlled glimpses of her own children. Again, the issue is not that a mother can never share a family image. The issue is consistency. If the danger of online exposure is central to your public message, then using children's images to support your brand or soften your image will invite criticism. This is the recurring Sussex problem. The message may be valid, the messenger complicates it. That brings us to Catherine, Princess of Wales. The source discussion briefly raised the irritation many royal watchers feel when the mainstream media continues calling her Kate. Historically, she was Kate Middleton in the press because that was the name by which the public first knew her. Headline writers like short names, habits, stick. But Catherine now signs and presents herself as Catherine. She is Princess of Wales and future Queen. This may seem like a side issue, but it touches something larger. Respect in royal language matters. The names, titles, and forms of address around the royal family carry history and status. When Catherine is casually reduced to Kate, while Meghan's Duchess styling is often preserved in brand contexts, some viewers notice the imbalance. The future Queen is treated with tabloid familiarity, while the non-working Duchess retains commercial polish. That tension feeds wider frustration. The public sees Catherine carrying duty, scrutiny, illness, motherhood, and the future of the monarchy with discipline. Then they see Meghan using royal style while outside the system and often in conflict with it. Whether every comparison is fair or not, it shapes public perception. Catherine represents service inside the institution. Meghan represents status outside it. That is why Catherine's public steadiness has become so powerful. She does not need constant reinvention. She does not need to explain herself endlessly. Her work, appearances, and family role fit within a clear future. The public may debate her workload, fashion, or media treatment, but the basic identity is settled. Meghan's identity is not settled. That is why every product, every cause, every interview, and every image becomes another attempt to define her. The deeper issue is that Harry and Meghan still seem to want the emotional privileges of royalty without the structural costs. They want public sympathy when they say the institution hurt them. They want commercial benefit when the Duchess title helps. They want privacy when the press asks hard questions. They want exposure when it supports a brand. They want to criticize the palace while remaining attached to its mystique. That is exactly what the Queen feared. And that is what Charles now has to manage. If he continues doing little publicly, he risks allowing the half-in, half-out model to become normalized. If he acts too aggressively, he risks handing Harry and Meghan another victim narrative. If he strips titles, they may become martyrs to their supporters. If he does nothing, critics will say he is weak. There is no easy answer, but there may be a necessary one. The monarchy must decide whether clarity is worth the conflict. Harry and Meghan can live private lives in California. They can raise their children. They can make money. They can build brands, speak on causes, and appear in media. But the royal connection cannot remain an endlessly renewable commercial resource without consequence. At some point, the institution has to show whether Sandringham was a boundary or merely a suggestion. Because right now, critics believe Harry and Meghan are living in the gap. They are outside enough to monetize, inside enough to matter, critical enough to sound independent, royal enough to sell, private enough to complain, public enough to promote. And the longer that continues, the more the public begins to wonder who is actually in control. Is it the king? Is it the palace? Is it the Sussex media machine? Or is everyone simply reacting to the latest headline? The late Queen understood that monarchy survives through discipline, clarity, and restraint. Harry and Meghan's post-royal life has been built on the opposite: revelation, branding, flexibility, and constant narrative movement. Those two models cannot coexist forever. Something will eventually have to give. Either Harry and Meghan will have to stop using royal connection as commercial fuel, or the monarchy will have to make that connection less useful. Until then, every new Sussex project will reopen the same old question: did they really leave? Or did they simply find a way to keep the title while leaving the rules behind? That is the unresolved legacy of Sandringham. And it is a problem King Charles can no longer avoid forever.